I never thought my life would come to this, standing in the shadows of a flickering neon sign, my heart pounding like a drum in my chest, as I wrestle with a choice that could shatter everything I've ever known. My name is Britny, and I'm drowning in a sea of bills and broken dreams, trapped in a crumbling apartment with a husband who feels like a stranger. Every day at the discount store grinds me down, but when a dangerous opportunity lands in my lap, promising a way out, I'm torn between desperation and the love I swore to protect. What did I do when the darkness whispered my name, offering a lifeline laced with betrayal? Stick around to find out. Picture this. I'm standing in the dim glow of a flickering fluorescent bulb, staring at a crack in the ceiling of my tiny apartment that looks like a jagged scar across a gray sky. My name's Britny, I'm 35, and this is my world. A cramped, run-down space in a working-class corner of a mid-sized American city that's seen better days. The paint on the walls is peeling like old skin, curling at the edges as if it's trying to escape. My furniture, all secondhand, sags under the weight of years and memories, mismatched and tired. Outside, the constant hum of traffic seeps through the thin windows, a reminder that life keeps moving, even if I feel stuck in place. This place, it's not much, but it's what I can afford, and every month I'm scraping by, counting pennies just to keep the lights on. I share this space with Mark, my husband of 10 years. He's 38, a delivery driver who's out there hauling packages from dawn till dusk, sometimes later. When he comes home, I see the exhaustion etched into his face, those tired eyes that used to light up when he looked at me. Now they're just hollow. He's a kind man, don't get me wrong, but life's worn him down, sanded away the edges of who he used to be. We've settled into a quiet routine, a rhythm of coexistence where words are few, and frustrations simmer beneath the surface, unspoken. There are nights when I lie awake next to him, listening to his steady breathing, wondering where the spark went, if we'll ever find it again. It's not anger between us, just a heavy, aching distance that neither of us knows how to bridge. My days, they're spent at Bargain Bin, a discount store a few blocks from home where I've been a cashier for the last 5 years. It's not a glamorous gig, not by a long shot. I stand behind the counter, scanning endless streams of canned goods, cheap toys, and off-brand shampoo, the beep of the scanner a monotonous soundtrack to my life. The customers, some of them are fine, but others, let's just say they've got no problem taking out their bad day on me. I've heard every insult, every impatient sigh, and I just grit my teeth and keep going. My paycheck? A measly $1,000 a month, barely enough to cover rent and bills after we split the costs. Every shift feels like I'm treading water, just trying not to drown in the mundane. At least I've got Lisa to keep things bearable at work. She's 29, another cashier, and the kind of person who can't help but know everyone's business. She's bubbly, always chattering away about the latest gossip, who's dating who got chewed out by the manager. Her nosy streak can be a bit much, but I don't mind too much. She's someone I can vent to about the small stuff, the petty. So here I am, another day dragging on at Bargain Bin, the fluorescent lights above me flickering like they're as fed up with this place as I am. The hum of the bulbs mixes with the constant clatter of shopping carts and the low murmur of customers weaving through the aisles. It's just past noon, and I've already been on my feet for hours, scanning items with that same monotonous beep that's practically burned into my brain. The store smells like a mix of stale air and cheap cleaning products, and every now and then, I catch a whiff of someone's overdone perfume as they shuffle past my register. My hands move on autopilot, grab, scan, bag, repeat, while my mind wanders to anything but here. I'm exhausted, the kind of tired that seeps into your bones, and the day's only halfway done. The customers keep coming, one after another, carts overflowing with discount junk they probably don't even need. Most of them barely look at me, just dump their stuff on the counter and wait for the total. But then there's this one guy, middle-aged, wearing a faded baseball cap, who decides today's the day to make my life harder. He's got a coupon for some off-brand cereal, but it's expired, by 3 months. I point it out, polite as I can manage, and he loses it. Starts ranting about how I'm cheating him, how he's going to report me to the manager, how I don't know how to do my job. His voice gets louder, drawing stares from the other shoppers, and I can feel my face heating up. I'm clenching my jaw so tight it hurts, trying to keep my cool while explaining store policy for the third time. Eventually, he storms off, muttering under his breath, leaving me with a pounding headache and a sour taste in my mouth. Days like this, I wonder how much more I can take before I just walk out and never come back. It's around 3 p.m. when I notice something different. The store's still buzzing, but my eyes catch on 3 men stepping through the automatic doors. They don't blend in, not even a little. The first one, who I'll later learn is Jake, is tall, broad-shouldered, with a presence that fills the space around him. He's got a leather jacket slung over his frame, worn but expensive looking, and a smirk that seems permanently etched on his face. The second, Ethan, is leaner, almost wiry, with sharp, piercing eyes that seem to take in every detail. He moves with a quiet intensity, like he's always on edge. The third, Caleb, is shorter, fidgety, his hands stuffed in his pockets as he glances around like he's expecting trouble. They're dressed too nice for a place like this. Clean, tailored clothes that stand out against the drab, worn-out vibe of bargain bin. I can't help but stare for a second, wondering who they are and why they're here. They dawn. As the clock finally ticks to 5 p.m., I punch out at bargain bin, my mind a tangled mess of thoughts. My shift's over, but the weight of the day clings to me like a second skin. I'm standing by the time clock, staring at the scuffed-up wall, debating with myself about what to do next. Those 3 men, Jake, Ethan, and Caleb, have been lingering in my head since I saw them earlier. They'd slipped me a note during my shift, asking to meet in the parking lot after work. No details, just a cryptic, "We've got an opportunity for you." My gut screams caution, telling me to walk away, to head straight home and forget I ever saw them. But then there's that other voice, the one whispering about the bills stacking up, the rent that's always a struggle, the way Mark and I barely make ends meet. Curiosity gnaws at me, mixed with a desperate hope that maybe, just maybe, this could be a way out. I pull my phone from my pocket, and there's a text from Mark. "Working late again. Don't wait up." My heart sinks a little. He's not even going to be home to notice I'm gone. That loneliness, that isolation, it pushes me just a bit further toward taking the risk. What's the worst that could happen? I step out into the parking lot, the cold autumn air biting at my skin as the dim streetlights cast long, eerie shadows across the asphalt. My heart's pounding so hard I can feel it in my throat, each step toward the far corner of the lot feeling heavier than the last. And there they are, just like they said they'd be, leaning against a sleek black car that looks way too fancy for a place like this. Jake's the first to spot me, straightening up with that same charming smile I noticed earlier, the kind that's equal parts inviting and dangerous. Ethan and Caleb hang back, their expressions unreadable, just watching me with an intensity that makes my skin crawl. I shove my hands into my jacket pockets to hide how they're trembling, trying to look braver than I feel as I close the distance. Jake doesn't waste any time. "Glad you showed, Brendy," he says, his voice smooth as silk. "We've got a proposition for you. $500, cash, to spend the night with us at a hotel nearby." His words hit me like a punch to the gut. I freeze, my face burning hot with shock and embarrassment as the implication sinks in. He's not talking about a friendly chat or a late-night card game. No, he means something far more personal, something I never saw coming. My mind races, a storm of disgust and fear swirling inside me. How dare they even suggest this? I'm not that kind of person. But then, almost against my will, I think about the money. $500. Half my monthly pay for just one night. I could pay off the electric bill, maybe even get ahead on rent for once. The thought is tempting, seductive in a way that makes me sick to my stomach. I stand there, rooted to the spot, my internal battle raging. I picture Mark at home later, clueless about where I am or what I'm considering. I see the pile of unpaid bills on our kitchen table, the late notices, the constant stress that's been eating at us for months. How would I even explain this to him if he found out? But then Jake speaks again, sensing my hesitation. "No strings attached, darlin'," he says, his tone almost too casual. "Just one night, and you walk away with a life-changing sum. Easy as that." Ethan steps forward, his sharp eyes locking onto mine as he adds, "We're respectful guys, just looking for some discreet entertainment." His words don't reassure me. If anything, they make me more uneasy, the way he phrases it so clinically, like I'm just a transaction to them. The air feels thicker now, the silence stretching on as I wrestle with my decision. Every instinct tells me to turn around, to run back to the safety of my routine, my life, no matter how hard it. Here I am, stepping out of that sleek black car into the cool night air, my stomach twisting in knots as I follow Jake, Ethan, and Caleb toward the hotel they picked. The place looms ahead, a generic chain spot with a neon sign flickering erratically, casting a sickly green glow over the cracked pavement of the parking lot. It's the kind of establishment you pass by 100 times without a second glance, unremarkable and forgettable, yet right now, it feels like the edge of a cliff I'm about to tumble over. We push through the glass doors into the lobby, and I take it all in. The sparse furnishings, a couple of faded armchairs in the corner, a chipped coffee table with outdated magazines scattered across it. The air smells faintly of stale coffee and artificial pine from some overzealous cleaning spray. Behind the desk, a bored clerk barely lifts his eyes from his phone as Jake handles the check-in, muttering something about a reservation. I stand there, shifting my weight from one foot to the other, feeling like a ghost, unseen, yet somehow exposed, like every pair of eyes in this empty room is secretly judging me. We pile into the elevator, the four of us squeezed into the tight space, and I'm hyper-aware of every little sound. The low hum of the machinery vibrates through the floor, a constant drone that seems to match the buzzing in my head. Caleb lets out a nervous cough, the sound sharp and jarring in the confined space, while Ethan stands perfectly still, his breathing slow and steady, almost too controlled. Jake, meanwhile, leans casually against the wall, his gaze flicking to me for a moment before returning to the glowing numbers above the door. My hands are clenched at my sides, nails digging into my palms as we ascend to the third floor. Each second feels stretched, endless, like time itself is taunting me, giving me every chance to bolt, but knowing I won't. The doors finally slide open with a dull ding, and we step out into a narrow hallway, the carpet beneath our feet a worn-out shade of burgundy, stained in places from years of careless guests. The room Jake unlocks is as sterile and impersonal as I expected. 2 queen beds sit side by side, their sheets stiff and starched, tucked in with military precision. A cheap TV is bolted to the wall, its screen dark and dusty, reflecting our distorted shapes as we shuffle inside. There's a faint, lingering scent of cleaning products, sharp and chemical, that clings to the back of my throat. A single window looks out over the parking lot, the neon signs glow seeping through the thin curtains, painting eerie shadows across the walls. I hover near the door for a moment, unsure where to place myself in this space that feels so alien, so wrong. Jake notices my hesitation and gestures toward one of the beds, his expression unreadable as he pulls a small bottle of whiskey from his jacket pocket. "Care for a drink, Brendy?" he asks, his tone light, almost friendly. I nod, more out of a need for something to do with my hands than actual desire. He pours a bit into a plastic cup from the bathroom sink and hands it to me. I take a sip, wincing as the liquid burns its way down my throat, a harsh, fiery trail that settles in my chest. I'd hoped it would dull the edges of my nerves, but if anything, it sharpens them, making my heart pound even harder against my ribs. The men settle into the room with an ease I can't mimic. Ethan drops into a chair by the window, his sharp eyes scanning the outside world like he's expecting something, or someone, to show up. Caleb paces a little, his fidgety energy filling the space as he mutters something about a sports game to Jake, who's leaning against the dresser, sipping from his own cup. Their conversation is mundane, trivial stuff about scores and players I don't care to follow. And for a while, it's like I'm not even here. I perch on the edge of one of the beds, the mattress creaking slightly under my weight, and clutched the stack of crisp bills they handed me earlier in the car. $500, more money than I've held. Here I am, sitting on the edge of that stiff hotel bed, the weight of what's about to happen pressing down on me like a physical force. The room feels smaller now, the air thick with tension I can't shake. My fingers tremble as I set the plastic cup of whiskey down on the nightstand, the bitter aftertaste still lingering on my tongue. Jake, Ethan, and Caleb are still chatting casually, their voices a low hum in the background, but I can feel their attention shifting toward me, subtle glances that make my skin prickle. I know there's no turning back now. That stack of $500 sits heavy in my purse across the room, a silent anchor tethering me to this moment, to this choice I never thought I'd make. As the night deepens, the atmosphere changes. Jake is the first to approach, his movements slow and deliberate, like he's giving me one last chance to bolt. But I don't. I can't. My mind screams at me to stop, to run, but my body stays rooted, frozen by desperation and the cold reality of my situation. I shut my eyes for a moment, trying to block out everything, to detach myself from what's happening. It's like I'm watching from outside myself, a stranger in my own skin, as I let him draw closer. The interaction is mechanical, devoid of warmth or connection, just a series of motions I go through because I have to. Ethan follows, his presence sharp and intense, and then Caleb, whose nervous energy only makes the silence between us more unbearable. Each moment feels like an eternity, my emotions locked away somewhere deep inside, inaccessible even to me. I focus on breathing, on getting through it, telling myself it's just a transaction, nothing more. But my mind betrays me. Even as I try to stay numb, flashes of Mark break through the walls I've built. I see his face, that gentle smile he used to wear so easily when we first met, the way his eyes crinkled at the corners when he laughed. I remember our wedding day, standing under a cheap rented arch in a park, promising forever with nothing but hope in our pockets. I see the life we've scraped together, the late-night talks about dreams we've long since buried under bills and exhaustion. And then I'm yanked back to this cold, sterile hotel room, the contrast so stark, it physically hurts. My gaze keeps drifting to my purse, to the money that's supposed to make this worth it. $500. It's right there, a cruel reminder of why I'm letting this happen, why I'm betraying everything I hold dear for a temporary fix to our endless struggles. The small details around me stand out in a surreal, almost painful clarity, grounding me in this nightmare I can't escape. The bedspread beneath me is rough, scratchy against my skin, like it's been washed 1,000 times with the cheapest detergent. Through the thin walls, I hear the muffled drone of a TV from the next room, some late-night show playing to an audience I'll never see, a reminder of a normalcy I've left behind. The air feels heavy, tinged with that chemical cleaner smell that never quite fades, mixing with the faint musk of cologne and whiskey. And when it's over, when each of them has taken their turn in this hollow exchange, they don't look at me. Not really. Their eyes slide past me, like I've ceased to be a person, just a means to an end. That avoidance cuts deeper than I expected, a silent confirmation of how far I've fallen in this moment. When it's finally done, I'm left hollowed out, a shell of myself sitting on the edge of that bed. Shame floods through me, hot and suffocating, mingling with a regret so heavy I can barely breathe under its weight. There's a fleeting bitter relief that it's over, that I've survived this ordeal, but it's drowned out by the realization of what I've done. I've crossed a line I can't uncross, betrayed Mark in a way that no apology, no explanation could ever mend. I stumble to the bathroom, needing to escape the room, the lingering presence of what? As the first light of dawn creeps over the horizon, I slip out of that hotel room, the weight of the night clinging to me like a shadow I can't shake. The hallway is silent, the burgundy carpet muffling my footsteps as I hurry toward the elevator, desperate to leave this place behind. In my purse, tucked deep in an inner pocket, is the $500. Crisp bills that feel more like a curse than a blessing. I don't look back as the elevator doors close, the hum of the descent mirroring the dull ache in my chest. Outside, the air is crisp, biting at my skin as I make my way to the nearest bus stop. The city is just waking up, streetlights still flickering as the sky turns a pale gray. I climb aboard the first bus that pulls up, sliding into a seat by the window, my purse clutched tight against me. Staring out at the passing streets, I watch as early risers shuffle along sidewalks, coffee cups in hand, oblivious to the storm raging inside me. I feel numb, disconnected, like I'm floating above myself, unable to process the reality of what I've done. My body aches, a deep, bone-weary exhaustion that no amount of sleep could fix, and my heart feels like it's been hollowed out, replaced with a heavy, unyielding guilt. The bus rumbles along, each stop bringing me closer to home, but farther from any sense of peace. I can't stop replaying the night in my mind, those moments in the hotel room, the cold detachment, the way I let myself become something I never thought I'd be. I try to focus on the money, on what it could do for us, but even that feels tainted now, a bitter reminder of the cost. As the familiar outline of my neighborhood comes into view, I force myself to breathe, to push down the nausea threatening to rise. I step off the bus, the early morning chill seeping into my bones as I trudge the last few blocks to our apartment building. The cracked pavement underfoot feels like a mirror to my fractured state of mind, each step heavier than the last. When I finally unlock the door to our place, the silence inside is deafening. The faint hum of traffic filters through the thin walls, but otherwise, it's just me and the ghosts of last night. I spot Mark on the couch, sprawled out in a deep sleep, his chest rising and falling with a rhythm that seems so peaceful, so unaware. A half-eaten sandwich sits on the coffee table, crumbs scattered across a napkin, a mundane detail that somehow cuts me to the core. I stand there for a long moment, watching him, a pang of guilt so sharp it steals my breath. His face is relaxed, lines of exhaustion smoothed away in slumber, and I can't help but think of how much I've betrayed that trust, that quiet vulnerability. I tear my eyes away, unable to bear it, and move quietly to the bedroom. My hands tremble as I pull out an old shoebox from under the bed, the kind we've used to stash spare change or forgotten trinkets. I slip the wad of cash inside, burying it beneath a layer of old receipts and loose coins, as if hiding it could hide the truth. I tell myself I'll never touch it, not unless we're truly desperate. But even that promise feels hollow, a flimsy shield against the weight of my actions. I head to the bathroom, the need to cleanse myself overwhelming. I turn the shower on as hot as I can stand, stepping under the scalding spray, letting it pound against my skin. I scrub at myself, harder than necessary, as if I could wash away the memories, the lingering sense of violation, the shame that seeped into every pore. But it doesn't work. The water can't reach the places that hurt most, can't erase the images burned into my mind, those sterile hotel walls, the detached glances, the way I let myself be reduced to nothing more than a means to an end. I stay under the stream until my skin is red and raw, until the hot water starts to run cold, and even then, I don't feel clean. Stepping out, I avoid the don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story. This will help us create more engaging stories for you.